Hey, folks, social media, welcome. We're just a few seconds away from going live on radio. So happy to have you with us. Appreciate you. And we had a big uptick in viewers on yesterday's show, so thank you so much, not only for you all tuning in, but spreading the word for me. I really appreciate that. We are stronger together. Little Autry's Army. And when I get out of the saddle, somebody else is going to take over. God, family, and country, we got to make sure that never, that those that seek to destroy those three guiding principles, that they never succeed. I'm laughing because Guillermo Moreno just walked in. He's going to be on the show.
All right, 5 seconds.
Yes, he is. He's like Jesus. You know he's coming, you just don't know when.
From NFL quarterback to Hollywood to the mayor's office, and now behind the mic at KXEX, this is the Alan Autry Show. No retreat.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
What the hell's going on out here? Everybody grabbing out there. Nobody.
That the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
So, 5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable. Free at last! Free at last! Thanks
You're listening to the Alan Autry Show on the best talk in town. Talk Radio 1550 KXEX. Call Alan now, 559-899-1550.
Hey, welcome to Alan Autry No Retreat. I'm old Alan Autry, and as always, I am just honored and humbled to have y'all with us today, and I get very excited to have my good buddy Guillermo Moreno, who you can hear and see sometimes on social media.
Sometimes.
At 4 p.m. on KXEX Radio, the best talk in town. Welcome, Mr. Moreno.
Always good to be here, Alan.
Boy, yeah, you're talking so calm as if you never... Let me tell you, we were like 10 seconds away from going live. There's no Guillermo. He comes in there, flying in here, ducks down, goes below the cameras, pops up there. Hi, Alan. How you doing? How you doing, listeners? I mean, I told him he's like Jesus. You know he's coming. You just don't know when.
I'll take that as a compliment.
It's a compliment,
I will.
But you're always here. You know, I can't help but every time I hear on our promo, when you hear Vince Lombardi, it's Vince Lombardi, for those of you who don't know this, is what the hell's going on out there? Everybody's grabbing. And, you know, your fantasies in today's time, you know, just kind of, you go here, you go there, trying to deal with this whole world we're dealing with, all this kind of stuff. And you think things like, I do, like, what if Vince Lombardi came back and you made him president just for a year? Vince Lombardi, and he could do whatever he wants, you know. I don't want to say dictator for a year, but head coach with the influence that he had. The changes he would make. Wouldn't that be, what would
He'd probably get canceled. He'd probably get canceled.
No, you can't get canceled. That's the deal. Just a year.
So a true dictator.
Yeah. I'm reminded what Dick Reardon, the former mayor of the city of Los Angeles, great guy, a Republican, but on the liberal side. Guillermo, you probably wouldn't like him. But I didn't like a lot of the stuff he did either. But some of the stuff I did. Hey, California, you got to take them. You know, I mean, when you can get them. I mean, if, you know, the moderate Republicans, that support some conservative things, you know, you got to. But he was appointed Secretary of Education by Schwarzenegger, and he took it. Now, I had been mayor and dealt with those people, Secretary of Education, and they're basically powerless. You go in there thinking you're going to change things, and just the rules just kick your butt. You're just impotent. You're like the lieutenant governor.
Yeah.
Here, you know, you got the title, Secretary of Education, He's got no power. And so I run into him at the hotel about 6 months in. I'm going through the lobby over there at one of the hotels. He's going out. I said, Dick. He turns around. Hey, Alan comes over. I said, well, hey, how you doing, buddy? How's the new job? He says, it's going great. I just need one extra power, just one authority. And I'm working on it. I go, what is that? He goes, summary execution. If I get the power of summary execution, I can change the education system here. But he didn't get it, and needless to say, he didn't last long. He resigned less than a year and went back to the private sector and made more millions.
Yeah,
this guy's a gazillionaire. Hey, can you hear us? But we had a little rally down at City Hall today to push back against this silly council resolution that came out and was pulled twice. We'll get to that in just a second. But I'd like to do my Olympic update.
Yeah.
People tune into this show just to hear the Olympic update. So, Jose, is he there? He left.
I was going to say, yeah.
Jose, he's
missing his cue.
He left me hanging. That's like fist bumping somebody. You leave the fist up. I saw that happen today at the rally.
Oh, you did?
Oh, gosh.
That Jerry Dyer, Miguel
no, Pastor Rutherford, but Jerry didn't see him. Pastors left, and never leave a pastor hanging on a fist bump. You're going to answer for that big time in St. Peter.
That's true. Hey.
Jose, you got? Are you there? But do you got a little Olympic music there at your fingertips? It just helps me get going I got some really exciting stuff to pass on to the folks about the Olympics. He's got it. Go ahead and hit me a little bit of that. I'll do it. Let's do it together. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, Nathan Chen. Ever heard of him? Probably not before yesterday, but Nathan Chen, American skater, was skating in the short program there at the Olympics.
Figure skating, right?
Figure skating.
Short program. Thinking like, man, they got
no. This
figure
was
skating. Okay.
Yes, it's figure skating. They have different categories, and he was in what's called the short program. Not because he's a short guy. I mean, although he is a short guy. Most of those skaters,
you're gonna get canceled.
Well,
say, hey, listen.
It's all
little people.
It's
little.
Oh, that sounds worse.
Well, you can't say
little
short
people. That means they're little. Their ideas are little. Their
people.
ideas are small. No,
you're gonna really get the dwarfism community in a tizzy.
I am very popular with the dwarfism community. I'll have you know. They made me Big Guy of the Year award. They gave me that.
Did they really?
No. But
okay, you sold
sounds
that.
Good.
Right.
Sounds good.
All right, go ahead.
But Nathan Chen. Okay, here's the big story on this thing. The favorite in that short program, and because it's all about physics. Tall guys, 6'5", they can't move as fast. They can't spin as fast. That's why you don't see 200-pound jockeys on a horse. It weighs down the horse. You have short little guys that are jockeys or women. But anyway, in the short program, which is several events, there's, I guess, a world champion. Don't know his name, but it was like, hey, the rest of you skaters don't show up. This guy is the Tom Brady of short programs. He's won it 6-7 years. He's going to win this one. Well, the dude comes out, I guess, falls. No. They're very strict on that scoring. What happened was he was supposed to do a 4-spinner, I think, and he only did a 3-spinner.
No.
And if you do a 3 instead of a 4, baby, you get docked. So the door was open for Nathan Chen, and Nathan Chen, our American representative, came out and made us proud. Apparently, he skated his little short butt off yesterday.
Did he win the gold?
Well, here's the deal. It's his to lose. Apparently, it's over a series of days, the short program, and he's got out
Not very short.
What's that?
A short program over a series of days?
That's true. None of this makes sense.
0 sense.
It started with having the Olympics in China to celebrate freedom. To celebrate the unity and people respecting other cultures.
Yeah.
It starts right. Better place to pick than China, as they imprisoned 1 million Uyghurs.
Oh man!
But anyway, he's pulled out to a commanding lead, and the way they're talking about it, again, I'm extrapolating some kind of sense of this for our listeners. And I know you're finding this mesmerizing radio right now. Hang in there. You need to broaden. Like me, I'm open to broaden our horizons. I know we'll get to hardcore political stuff in a second. But this is our skater. He came out there and he kicked booty. But apparently this is not just a tiny lead, not a short lead. Here I go again. It's a Secretariat type. Remember Secretariat won the Triple Crown?
Yeah.
Remember it was like 30 links pulling away. It was he's got that kind of a lead.
Which is what, like 0.005? Because,
Probably.
It's one of those
Probably.
things. The Olympics that you
One spin short, and he's back. That lead is evaporated. Yeah, probably. But here's the reason for hope. Here's why everybody's so excited in the skating world and imputing that to us here in America. I mean, the guy's over in China. He's getting isolated, scared to death. He says the wrong thing. He's going to be in isolation.
Probably not eating.
Be tortured, not eating. And he comes out and performs, old Nathan, and his little short self. And we're just so proud of him because apparently this was the one he was most vulnerable in, this opening event. So everybody seems to think he's got ice water running through his veins. And it's even more cold over there in China right now. He should go through and capture the gold. Then we just found out that the team got a silver in the team program, which is huge.
They do team skating now?
I guess.
Like the couples?
Well, like they do team.
Like gymnastics?
Yes. It has to be that.
They do that?
Yeah.
When did this happen?
Well, what do you mean? Are you an expert on figure skating?
Well,
You're acting like you follow this stuff every day, and something happened on the chain and they didn't consult you. What? They didn't call me about the rule change?
Well, I had such a great rule for the NFL and the penalty kicks at the end of the game.
You did. That is, and much to my chagrin, that little idea of yours is picking up more traction with my friends. I hate it. I think it's a horrible. Let kickers win the game. It's like all these guys that beat themselves up 4 quarters, 2 overtimes, or what have you. And how do you settle it? Let them put it on the 20-yard line, do something, fight it out. Guillermo says, why don't you just bring in a kicker and have a field goal kicking contest? You have a little punt, pass, and kick contest at the end.
It's a lot more than that.
And so many people agree with him on this. People who really know football. Okay, we're off on that. Anyway, that's your Olympic update, minus the...
minus Guillermo here, just derailing at every point in time.
The people enjoyed the theme song. I think we're going to get requests to do that again.
There we go. Can we go out to the actual theme song, maybe?
I expect you to do that on your show. I'll call in and we'll do it together, do your Olympic update.
There you go.
Let me ask you something, Guillermo. As we go through this battle to protect our liberties and freedoms, which you pretty much hit on your program, every program, sometimes an entire program. The threat that we're facing from so many areas, especially here in California. And they say, so goes California, so goes the country. Oh, my goodness.
I hope not.
Well, and if that's the case, there's reason to be worried in Des Moines. There's reason to be worried in Natchez, Mississippi.
Yep.
There's reason to be worried in Heartland. Because this is obviously, without a doubt, we've seen during this COVID crisis the just blatant use of heavy-handed government power, and when they don't have the power, they just make it up. To hell the Constitution, they say. We're just going to go full beat at controlling everybody. And you're looking, you're saying, who's going to stand up? As you said back, where is our real backbone? Going to come something with some real oomph to it, to come stand up and say, no more. We're fighting back against this. You've gone a bridge too far. We're not going to take it anymore. And it kind of resonates around the country, that everybody listens, to have that kind of oomph. Would it come from an individual, a politician, a billionaire? Bill Gates come up and suddenly did a 180 and did that. It would be something. We saw Joe Rogan kind of, but now he's receding, on the apology tour. Who would, if I would look at the possibilities as I prognosticate of what could happen, where would that source of the reinvigoration of protecting our freedoms would come from? Thinking about that it would come from truckers in Canada would probably be about 2,385 on my list, if it made my list at all. That's a group of truckers in basically the biggest socialist stronghold in the Northern Hemisphere, Canada.
Yep.
What do you think about that? These guys have gone into Ottawa. The Trudeau has pretty much gone into hiding. They've no violence. They're picking up support every single day. They're parked over there in the Capitol, and they said, we're not going anywhere till this stuff ends, till you take these mandates off. What just give me your general thoughts on that.
Well, you know how much I love Canada and the Canadians, and I think
Hey, Yes, you do, eh? Hey, you hoser.
Let me tell you, my entire radio career, I don't think I've ever said anything positive of the Canadians.
Well, yeah,
you didn't expect this. I mean, this came out of
well,
nowhere.
they went from the strapping Mounties, Sergeant Preston,
Yeah.
there's freedom and liberty, to these little compliant little serfdoms proletariat in Canada, it seemed like.
Yeah, no, it did. So I was surprised, but this goes to show you, and you would say, who's going to stand up? Who's going to stand up? It's not a single person that's going to stand up, because we believed that, hey, listen, we got one person in there, it was Trump, and look what happened to him. So it had to be a group of people, and it almost has to be a group that just comes out of nowhere, hence the truckers in Ottawa. So this is one of those things that, if the media can't predict it, they really can't squash it. That's the key, and that's, I believe, why they've been so successful, because they came out of nowhere. Wait a minute, you guys aren't supposed to be doing this. And that really is when change happens. Look at our founding fathers. Like, wait a minute, you guys aren't supposed to do this. That's where we can really effectuate true change. So I'm really happy this is happening. I would be even more happy if something like this happened here. Maybe not with truckers, but we need something in the United States where and it was the parents for a while, right? The parents
Right.
and the kids.
Virginia, down the school boards in Virginia.
Exactly. But we need a catalyst. We need something like the Ottawa truckers. And it might not be American truckers, although I wouldn't mind handing on the baton to our American truckers, because, they could do this just fine.
They were organizing.
Yeah.
And then Facebook took them off.
GoFundMe and
they took that account down.
yeah.
And now they were gonna steal the money and give it to nonprofits. GoFundMe folks, and we know what nonprofits those would go to.
For sure.
Here's Planned Parenthood. Here, on behalf of the Canadian truckers, there's $2 million to help kill babies.
Yeah.
And that's what was going to go. But then some folks stepped in there. The court stepped in, so I guess they're going to refund the money there. But I heard that American truckers and now farmers from Canada. I don't know what the farmers here in America can do. I think they'll be very sympathetic. But you bring up a good point. The left. And in particular, Trudeau, I don't think he knows whether to do or wind his watch right now.
He looks so lost.
Well, you think about it. The socialist movement is about representing the worker. Karl Marx was all about that, against the class, the bourgeoisie and the workers, that you deserve a piece of the pie. And what more representative of a hardcore blue-collar, get your fingernails dirty worker than truck drivers?
Yep.
So how hard do you go at these folks to demonize them? I think Trudeau has really probably put the nail in his coffin in Canadian politics with this issue. We have that tweet, Jose. Let's put his tweet. Here's the Prime Minister of Canada's response to this peaceful protest. Not a harsh word towards anyone, and it truly is, through every analysis, every examination. There's reporters from all over the world covering this. They haven't seen one fight. There was one rebel flag, and the guy had a mask on, and they knew the guy was a plant from some kind of socialist organization trying to say the Nazis were there. And by every measure, peaceful. He may not like what they're doing, but it's perfectly lawful. And then we have Trudeau put up this tweet here, and I'm trying to find it. We have it, Jose, up on the.
Yeah, there it is.
On there, okay. It says there, for those on radio listening, you on social media can see it. Listen to this rhetoric. Today in the House, Justin Trudeau, this is him addressing the trucker protest. Today in the House, members of Parliament unanimously condemned the anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, anti-black racism, homophobia, and transphobia that we've seen on display in Ottawa over the past number of days. Together, let's keep working to make Canada more inclusive. You being much more eloquent than me and also an expert on figure skating, tell me your response to this thing, what he just said.
He's deflecting. You see this on the left all the time. They don't want to handle any of the issues because it's always listen, this is really going to attack. This is going to attack color. This is going to be anti-gay. This is going to be anti-Islamophobic. These are just buzzwords now that they just have in their mind to throw out when they're in trouble, because they really can't argue the facts. If Trudeau had anything legitimately popular or just anything factual about maybe COVID-19 and why the need to have these things, he'd be tweeting that and putting that out. But the left always goes to this corner. It's like, no, you guys are racist. You guys are misogynistic, because they really don't have any argument. They're all about emotionality. There's a great book written called The Pity Party. And that's the entire left, because that's all they do is go on emotion. And one of the biggest emotional pleas around the world has been inequality, right? You're not treating this individual the same way. So why not just go and pull on people's emotions? It's really, it's insulting at the same time.
And you know what else? I agree 100%. But I think why this is so loaded, there's one thing I think that's in the soul of every human being, rich, poor, whatever color you are, whatever. There's things that you appreciate when you're complimented, people are nice to you, and there's things that I think are common through any culture, any gender, that are hurtful. And most people respond the same way. And one of those things is to be thought of as stupid, as dumb. It's not intellectually up to par. You know, there's guys down there on Blackstone working at a body shop that had to drop out of high school to take care of their family. They don't have a lot of what they call book learning, but they're as smart or smarter than pretty much probably 3/4 of people in Washington, D.C. and the politicians who think they're so intellectually superior, and they are the intellectually anointed, as Dr. Thomas Sowell likes to call them. And when people see all of these images and they see a peaceful protest, they see that the motive is righteous. There's not anything, any speech about homophobia, Islamophobia. Which one of those Canadian truck drivers, they can't even pronounce, I can't even pronounce it, and all these phobias that they're representing when they're just saying, give us our freedom. And the most that they've broken the law that they can tell right now, Guillermo, is they honk their horns too loud. And I heard that's the deal. They're in defiance of an ordinance. They've been served, and I guess the honking stopped.
Oh my gosh.
And when you put a tweet like that to the people of Canada in particular, that's who you want to win over. They're the ones that are going to be casting the votes. And you paint these people, the working people, and you have to think how dumb you must feel they are to even begin to believe that tweet. Yeah. And I think once somebody thinks that you think you're better than them, you've lost them.
Yeah.
It's hard to get them back.
Yeah, that's true. Look at Gavin Newsom. Look at the left. I mean, they struggled there, and they continue. Look, Stacey Abrams recently sitting down with all the kids. They all have masks, and she's just there with the biggest smile on her face. I mean, and I hate to just always bash on the left.
No, you don't.
I really don't.
Okay. I had to call you out on that real quick. I couldn't let you get that. You always get me, bro. So
no, that's true. And the right does it too. It really applies to anyone. When you act like you're entitled, you're better than someone else, that just takes you to a whole different level, and we're never able to come back from that.
And you think that they're dumb. And here at home, we just had to hear, close to here, the mayor of Los Angeles, Garcetti.
Yeah.
Dude, just mess up. You took the mask off. You didn't have it on. You want to take a picture with Magic Johnson. You didn't hold your breath. You got a big smile. I can see where why you think you can say, yeah, you caught me. It's like the little kid in the cookie jar. You come out, honey, did you take a cookie? No, she got cookie crumbs all over her. Got a cookie behind her back. You go, no, I didn't take the cookie. How dumb do they think we are? We have a good theme song to that. If we find that one, but it just, I think that is starting to slowly turn the tide, don't you? Because when you start losing your own, when the people that, the worker, the poor folks, folks in the minority community, the working person who you have purported to represent and to fight for, when all you're really fighting for is to have more money to throw at it to keep them dependent.
Yeah. And here's a bigger question. Super Bowl's coming up, right?
Yeah.
Super Bowl's Sunday. Here's what's really going to be a disconnect. Does Gavin Newsom, the mayor of LA, it's not the mayor of San Fran anymore. She's not going to be there. She doesn't have a reason to be there. Her Niners are out. But are you going to see politicians, at the Super Bowl maskless? Well, actually, they're getting rid of the masks. Coincidentally,
yes.
So,
and coincidentally, during a midterm election year,
yeah, right. And
so that's amazing.
Yeah. So when Gavin Newsom goes to the Super Bowl and pays, I don't know how much money for those those prime seats, he doesn't have to be masked because he would have gotten rid of it by that, by that point in time. But it all comes back to me because I'm rational, I'm reasonable, and I want to see this country succeed. I want to see the city succeed. The left has had so many opportunities to do it differently. They bashed for 4 years on the guy. Oh, he's just not he's a divider in chief. No respect for the office. No this and that. How many times have we not seen the left put in positions where I think the conservatives would have been like, okay, you're trying. What if Gavin Newsom, after the French Laundry, came out and said, hey guys, I screwed up. I did. And he did. Yeah. But he goes, you know what?
Way too late.
It's ridiculous. He said, you know what? I agree. Let's not use masks. Let's do something differently. Maybe after the Super Bowl, not the Super Bowl, but after the championship game, coming out and say, hey, you know what? I got caught again. Stupid on me. This week, I'm getting rid of these things. It's so hard for me to even comply with this at this point in time. I'm not going to make you guys do it. How many conservatives, independents, how many liberals would have been like, hey, finally, right? We would have. There's so. And
well, it leaves you no place to go because he did the right thing.
He did the right thing, right? Exactly.
The power of the right thing, and there's no right way to do a wrong thing. You can't take off the mask and say I didn't breathe.
Yeah.
You if you feel that's the wrong thing, the wrong message, then just say I blew it, like you said. Don't say I didn't breathe.
Yeah.
I just, you know what? I'm going to get in trouble for this. I just want to take him, Mayor, if I was there, can I talk to you for a second? I'd like to go outside with him, just mayor to mayor, because we can speak that kind of language. Get in the hallway and just very calmly say, Mayor, I want you to listen to this. And just Mayor, I know it's a tough job. And then just give him a little slap upside the face. Not enough to draw blood. Not enough to, get a battery assault charge. Just to say, bam. What were you thinking? Kind of like Cher did to her kid, that movie. Wake up. What are you doing? Don't do this. We're going to take a quick break when we come right back. Oh, did you see Gavin Newsom's latest press release?
No.
It said, yes, very short and sweet. It said, let them eat cake.
Oh, really?
Yes, that just came out the other day. Huh. This is Alan Autry with Guillermo Marino. This is Alan Autry, No Retreat. We'll be right back, and we'll talk about this little rally we had at City Hall here locally, but with repercussions. You like that word? Good for an old Okie to get that little Jethro Bodine dude here. Repercussions around the country, and when we come back and we talk about it, you'll know what I'm talking about. Again, Alan Autry, No Retreat with Guillermo Marino. Right back.
Hey, you get the oldies on here, huh?
Love it, baby.
Isn't that okay? I'm your puppet. That's referring to like the guy being.
That's Biden. We're going to play that. Jose and I are going to get together and we're going to do a bunch of quotes from him to that song. I'm your puppet, and he's going to make these statements, and then I'm your puppet. Yeah,
I love it. Hey,
and then there's that song by the Guess Who. I was laughing, but you were laughing, laughing. It's a great song. I want to interject. Kamala Harris is laughing. You're laughing. Laugh. You'll like it. Oh, you just got a little that on social media. What's coming up? A little preview. Folks, I appreciate you tuning in. I really do. It's,
go ahead. Sorry.
I'm
interrupting here.
No, this is my shoe show. I have to really practice saying that.
My show.
That's the last part stuff that you Sue show. That's a tough one.
Sue show.
Me show, Sue show. My show, your show, right?
Yeah. Is that the way you say it? Me show, Sue show.
Well, it's an expression from Mi Casa Tu Casa.
Yeah, but is it me Sue show? Is that the way you say it?
Well, it's on that great Hispanic greeting, Mi Casa Su Casa.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah.
We have a Spanish word of the day.
Right. You know what my first name is? It's Carlos. I'm Carlos Allen Autry. That's my legal name on my birth certificate.
You don't look like a Carlos.
Well, there's a story behind that.
It's like saying I'm a Frank.
Oh, nowadays you can identify anything you want. You can be Frank.
I could be Toronto.
You can be Frank the Swede if you want to be. You can be Frank the Nordic Warrior. That's all you can do. I can be Alan Santana.
There you Do you know?
Do what you want to do. Be who you want to be. Hey,
Did you know I'm Willie Brown? No, seriously. No, Guillermo.
have
Moreno.
you had the operation yet? Have you completely transitioned?
No, Guillermo.
You're too much of a conservative. Completely.
This is fact. Yeah, Guillermo is like William, right? And Moreno is Brown. And
Moreno is Brown?
Yeah, right? Yeah, it's Brown.
You know what? My maiden name I went from for a long time. You know Carlos Brown.
Yeah.
We could be related.
We could be related.
Cousin! I've waited so long.
I didn't know that.
I'm gonna go forth here as you're my cousin. I was raised an only child. I get excited when I have. Oh, I just found somebody found me on. Not somebody, a daughter of their grandfather, which is my uncle. He's passed away, Paul Autry. So there's some good things that happen on Facebook.
No way.
Yeah,
Did you do the whole DNA ancestry?
No. She just made contact. I gave a message back, asked a few questions. He used to be the mayor of Mena, Arkansas.
No way. That's cool.
Yeah, Paul Autry. He gave me my first nickname, Tops.
Hey, Guillermo, look up on Dropbox.
Okay.
There's some clips there.
Oh, that are already cut?
Yeah.
Here.
All right, we got 5 seconds.
There ain't no good in our goodbye.
You're listening to the Alan Autry Show on the best talk in town. Talk Radio 1550 KXEX. Call Alan now. 559-899-1550.
Come on, Frankie. Come on, Frank. Come on now. Come on. We need it. It's Tuesday. Let's do. What tax dollars we have left? Yes. Sometimes it feels like that's all we got left. But hey, that's the most important thing you can have, right, Guillermo?
That's right.
Mr. Willie Brown.
Willie Brown.
All right, welcome back to Alan Autry No Retreat. It's Tuesday, and it's good to be alive, live in America, even with all our troubles that we have. It's I'm thinking, I look at China, beautiful venues in China, by the way. It's amazing things what you can do with slave labor. It's just perfection. I mean, the landscapes are wonderful. Slopes are so well manicured. And then they had the Uyghur carrying the torch. Yeah. Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
Yes.
I'm boycotting.
They had
I'm boycotting the Olympics.
You know what? That has to start to be a gender neutral. You can't go girl cot, boycott. You got to just... You got to.
I was about to say I'm neutered. I'm neutered.
You bet until you can come up with another term for that. I'm not listening to your comments on this.
Call it the Hunger Games now.
The Hunger
Games. Stop calling it the Olympics.
Oh, the real Hunger Games.
It's the Hunger Games. They're not feeding the athletes.
But here's the thing: they put this Uyghur, this Muslim minority they enslaved 1 million of them, folks. We're going to get to the local story just a second here. But I felt this. It's China going. The song, how dumb, what kind of fools do you think we are? Especially in freedom-loving countries. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Maybe it would fly in Venezuela, fly in North Korea, but you put this Uyghur to carry the torch and smiling, going, look, and they point, this is the Uyghur. Well, first of all, I wonder, did they ask the Uyghur if he wanted to bring that torch, or did they tell the Uyghur? Go into the camp. Hey, get this guy out of shackles here. We got a torch for him to bear.
I got to see this.
And then here's another interesting thing. What media outlet was allowed to interview the Uyghur torchbearer for the Olympics? He was there, smiling, waving at the crowd, saying, "Look at me, I'm free." All the stuff you hear about oppression of the Uyghurs is wrong. I'm actually a very contented Chinese minority that's just loving life under Xi Jinping. And then goes back into obscurity, nowhere to join Peng Shui, the tennis player who disappeared, and Jack Ma, the billionaire who disappeared, and join them into the redoctrination Stepford wife and Stepford husband program that they have there. Quite successful, by the way. If you want to get your husband to go online, just ship him over to Communist China. Make a few deals. They'll come back totally subservient.
We're gonna get banned out.
Hey, let me tell you something. I go to great lengths, don't I, Jose, to say I have nothing against the Chinese people. They're great people. In fact, they're depending on us, people like me and you and everybody in America, to fight for them. They're the voice. They don't have a voice. They speak their voice, they get their tongue cut out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know, basically, if not figuratively. Yes. Yes, we're talking about China. Crank it up a little bit. They're bad. I don't care if you're watching the Olympics. You ain't fooling me. I'm going to pull for our athletes. You go kick some communist Chinese butt. But you ain't getting me. They're bad to the bone. All right.
I'm still trying to find the picture of this guy.
You see, while you're doing that, did you see that Xi Jinping, they did there's another political figure on the rise there that are kind of grooming.
For after Xi?
Yeah, and his name is Xi Pong. And yes, the greatest threat to freedom is going to be ping pong. This is true.
Oh my God, we're still getting banned.
No, this is out there. This is out there, and it's sad. But this guy's a rising star, and
that's his name.
After ping goes, pong's coming. That's the reports I'm getting from our men on the street in Beijing. We got a reporter on the street undercover there. You know, then he sends us messages from time to time, and that's the word. Can't be confirmed right now, but I think there's enough meat to the story.
There might be.
To debut it here. Okay, did you find those sound bites? I've been trying to kill time, but I wound up killing our show here.
I didn't know we were. Okay, I apologize. Well, no, back while I get.
Okay, let's talk about the resolution. You want to describe what? Well,
let me. One last thing.
Go ahead.
One last thing on the Xi Jinping. So I think a lot of people have been kind of curious. How in the heck can the Olympic international community or the Olympic Committee, how can they allow this, right? Because you're hearing reports from the athletes, you're reading all this online, you're seeing it in the news. Why, right? Why would this Olympic organization just cover? And a couple of shows ago, I talked about it. So the president of the International Olympic Committee said, listen, starting it with the next Olympic Games, okay, where we're going to make sure that we consider the human rights and really highlight.
That's why Caracas, Venezuela is the leading city to host it, right?
Right. No, but it got me thinking, well, who has it next? Well, it's Paris. And I don't know who has the Winter Olympics after that, but then Paris. Yeah.
Paris, the biggest communist stronghold in the free world. Paris.
Yeah, I mean, you could say that, and then we get it. Yeah. And then we get it in 2028.
What city?
L.A.
Oh, good.
So yeah, but can you imagine this? The Olympic Committee is not saying anything right now against China, but when we have the Olympics in a few short years, our human rights abuses, quote unquote, are just going to be at the forefront of the games. Which it really upset me that the Olympic Committee president says, "Oh, listen, human rights." Not this game, but the next ones, you guys can go ahead and have at it.
Well, I tell you, Jose, that answer to your first question, why, is by every measure, the International Olympic Committee is the most corrupt organization, not just in sports, but it's right up there with entire corrupt countries. They are totally about the dollar. Individuals in power being paid off. The reason it got Beijing is because Beijing bought the International Olympic Committee, just like they've bought John Cena, just like they bought LeBron James, just like they've bought half of Congress, if not more, half the Senate, if not more, and they've bought Joe Biden.
Oh, yeah.
That's just, it's pure and simple. It's not, that's their MO. They buy it's smart. I think they're overplaying their hand, but that's this goes all the way back to the old Soviet Union, giving gazillions of dollars to International Olympic Committee to look the other way as German athletes, women were juicing up the German. Remember the East German women? They'd interview them afterwards, and they looked like men up there, and they'd ask them how. I remember a reporter asking the one sprinter from East Germany, how she got so fast. And she just said, well, I just been loading up on the carbs. And, and you're looking at these athletes. And then the whole Soviet team, then the heat got on because the cat got out of the bag because our athletes, sprinters, male and female, weren't doing as well as we thought they should. And you look at the weightlifters, and then there was somewhat of a crackdown on steroids to a certain degree. And but they were in the tank for the Soviet Union all of those years. And it's just been a history, a sad legacy of the International Olympic Committee is you don't they don't consider things like human rights or how you're conducting yourself and behaving yourself as a country and a city. By general terms, not just by political, just human rights terms. They look at the United States saying, well, you don't, because of slavery. Yes, but 400,000 white people died in the Civil War to free black people. That's not being taught.
Yeah.
We had mechanisms in our Constitution to right the wrongs. Women's suffrage. It was able to, we're not where we want to be, but we're not where we used to be by any stretch of the imagination. And so we have a defense for it. But you go to these countries like China, they don't have a constitution. All they got is Mao's ideology that goes back, and they're trying to bring a little bit of Confucianism back into the picture, which would be kind of nice. Some kind of faith-based spiritual thing, because in a communist regime, you have no faith. But right now, so anyway, that's my take on the thing, and I agree with you 100%. They should have never got this deal. And then NBC, they see what they commercial that I think this guy Waltz, he's a representative, did criticizing the Chinese government and bought time on NBC, and then NBC refused to air the ad. So
what are you going to do?
What are you going to do? Well, what we're going to do here is talk about this resolution. Should we take another break, you think, or just go right in?
Roll right in. I think
we're going to go. Let's go right in. We just have a few minutes left. Today here in Fresno, California, folks, and again, this is something, if you're watching on social media or listening through Intune, your app for the radios around the country, around the world, there was a resolution put forth by 2 council members who declared, basically, I'm going to get rid of the legalese, get right to the point, to declare Fresno the abortion capital of the Valley. If you want an abortion, come here, no questions asked. We welcome come one, come all, and we want our city to be known as that. If alternatives to abortion, none of that in a resolution. That if someone's seeking abortion, would there be other information provided to that individual for straight down the line? Come, you want your abortion, you can get it in Fresno, and we're proud to have you, happy to have you, and we'll promote it. Well, they pulled the resolution, and there was a protest, a pushback, if you will, scheduled down at City Hall. And it was scheduled once before because this is the second time this resolution has come forward. They pulled it, and the organizers of the protest called off the protest to pushback. Well, they did it again. And so there were people down there, the mayor, Jerry Dyer, Gary Bredefeld, councilman, a lot of members from the faith-based community, as you would expect. The head of the Right to Life here locally said, look, this issue is too important to float out there and see if you get your hand chopped off. And if you don't, you're going to move forward on it. And I was really inspired by the people that came out to say, listen, certain things you just don't mess around and play with. And the sanctity of life, the protection of the life of an unborn child is one of those. What's your thoughts on that?
I talked about this yesterday on the show. I was aware of the resolution the first time around, and it got pulled. As I said, it's a resolution. And I remember in law school and contract law, they said, hey, if you have a breach between two parties, what are they, we're like, yeah, we're going to sue the other people. We're law students. We're going to right the wrong. And the law professor goes, really? They're just in violation of the four corners of a piece of paper. So when I saw this resolution, they know they have no power. They know they can't wave a magic wand and somehow be the SCOTUS of the entire world. That's all it is. It's a resolution. And you and I know a lot of the background of a lot of these people on the city council. And it seems to me that politics now has personalities that just overshadow everything. And you have these two factions in City Hall. One's conservative, Gary Bredefeld, a good friend of ours. We know Gary very well.
Our boss, so you can put him in there.
You're being generous. And then you have the liberal wing. And it just seems like for years now, they just go back and forth at each other. And my thought is, look, they've pulled it off twice. It's not even on the paper yet. And I said yesterday, I said, look, conservatives, I love you. And I do. And I love everybody, even the liberals. I love them too. But I said, look, why don't we just focus on winning? Let's take a step back. this isn't going to change anything. At the end of the day, that young girl, whether this resolution is printed on paper or not, that young girl can still walk down to Van Ness, the Miramonte Planned Parenthood, and she can still get her abortion. I think a lot of times us conservatives are stuck in just these battles, where we're never going to get out of. And here's the other thing. The reason why the left is doing this is because they know what's coming. It's coming. SCOTUS, the Supreme Court of the United States, the Supremes, as I call them, they're going to overturn Roe v. Wade and Casey. That's not going to be good law anymore. So I think the left right now is in full panic mode, like, oh my goodness, what are we going to do? We got to show that we're standing up for reproductive rights. But at the end of the day, it really doesn't mean anything. Now, here's the thing that I want to challenge conservatives to do, and I don't know if they talked about it today. What happens after? Because there's a very real issue that us conservatives are going to have. Once SCOTUS overturns Roe v. Wade and Casey, what are we going to offer as an alternative to these young girls that are now not going to be able to have an abortion? Now listen, I'm pro-life. I'm not pro-choice, but I'm pro-realism as well. If we're going to say, look, you can't have an abortion, what are we going to do to offer solutions as conservatives? Because we're in a real pickle, and I think we've all been fighting about pro-life, pro-choice, pro-life. Well, eventually that's going to be made for us. SCOTUS is going to decide that for us, for the majority of the states. I think they're going to drop it down to a state issue. What are we going to do as a party to really take it to the next step that I don't think a lot of us have been thinking about?
Well, I in answer to your question, I think that big elephant in the room, that question, which is, when does life begin, is going to have to be answered in some way, in a somewhat concrete way. Some people believe it's inception. Some people believe at the first trimester, what have you. There's various points. When you detect a heartbeat, that when it can feel pain, it's fully developed, a much earlier stage than was believed back when Roe versus Wade.
Yeah, I agree.
Was put in law. Technology has allowed us to look into the womb, look into the development, and that's changed a lot of young people's position on this thing. When does life begin? And I think that is going to be a driving force, because whether the Supreme Court, and I doubt that they will make that decision. I think they'll probably push that initially to the states, and each state will have to make that determination. Mississippi's done it, and I forget it at 14 weeks or whatever.
Yeah, I forget that.
Texas, the Texas law, they've come up with ones even a little bit more stricter. But I think that is going to have to be established, which is a huge victory from abortion on demand.
Yeah.
At 8 months, 9 months, you can go in and get it, which is what the far left wants. And I think pro-life people are going to have to accept, as difficult as it is, those incremental victories, and not have a whole enchilada at all. If I don't get from inception only, I'm not going to support this, or this candidate who happened to may be conservative saying, I'm going to support that you can have this abortion up to this particular time.
Yeah.
And think that they're not, don't call them Satan. This is going to take time. And I think the only victory for our unborn is going to be incrementally won. And I think that's the mistake that conservatives or people, just regardless, conservatives, Democrats, if you believe that the sanctity of life applies to the unborn, I really would strongly encourage to start beginning to swallow that kind of bitter pill.
Yeah.
That you're not going to get this overnight thing, but you can dramatically improve. And when you see stories come out of that, which there will be, when parents saying, mother saying, I contemplated having an abortion, but I didn't. And look at my son or daughter now.
Yeah.
That's what changed Donald Trump's position. He was pro-abortion. He knew of a situation, a case, and what it was. She was going to have an abortion. He was supporting it. I mean, it wasn't his child, don't be wrong, but he was very supportive of the lady. When she had the child, he was kind of like, boy, this is not a good decision. And he saw this young man born and develop, become this great young man. And he said it completely changed his attitude on it. And I believe him. I believe him. That's a story that tends to be transformational.
Yeah.
To an individual. So, but let me ask you this. What do you say, though, because we should just kind of ignore this, because I understand where you're coming from. You don't want to jump to every little thing that the left does. But what do you say to folks that said, hey, this is what happened in the school district when these little seemingly innocuous little things started happening, going, we're going to teach racism in the school. We're going to reform the history books a little bit. We're going to start putting sex education into the school system. And back when they did that in the 60s, STDs and teenage pregnancies had declined almost 60% since the 50s. It was the mid 60s. Then they came out with this false study, the left did, and said with sex education, there wasn't a crisis. It was going down. Then they implemented sex education, and immediately sexually transmitted diseases exploded and teenage pregnancies went up dramatically. And it was kind of like done. And what do you say to those folks who said, look, this is kind of like that. It's insidious little thing that may look innocuous, but if we don't stand up against that, then the next thing's going to be a bigger bite and a bigger bite. Next thing you know, you can't stop it. What do you say to those folks?
Well, that's a good question, and I really didn't think about it that way, because as soon as you started saying that, I remember the way that they did the immigration legal help.
And I'm conflicted on this. Yeah, I'm with you on how you're thinking on this, too.
Yeah, and you're right. I think now that if they were to pass a resolution, you're absolutely correct. Now, a certain city council member might bring a resolution where it says, hey, look, we're going to use $100,000 out of the general fund because we have a resolution. We're a pro. See, that's a very good point. That's a very plausible a scenario that could happen. And the left has done that in the city of Fresno when they were talking about the immigration affairs issue. And they let it float out there. And it took them about 2 years, but they got something funded. So you're absolutely right. That's not something I did not consider that, because I was like, what's the goal? I have a resolution, right? And then it just dawned on me, well, you have a resolution because then it's a lot easier to say, hey, you know what? We as a city believe this, and why not really go a little step further and back that up with money?
See, I think I adhere to a lot of what you're saying. And I think if it would have been the one resolution, you don't respond to it.
Yeah.
They pulled it. But a second time, you probably are warranted to go do something.
Yeah, you're right.
To address
you're right, yeah.
But by and large, I'm like you. You don't go knee-jerking around every corner and responding to everything. Like you said, you focus on the big issues. You focus on the strategy to keep focused on those issues that are really meaningful and really present a clear and present threat at that moment.
Yeah.
And keep but
you're a genius, because that's the next. What? You're a genius. You're
just wanted to hear that.
You're wise beyond your years.
I know. Thank you, Guillermo. Been a long time since I've been complimented like that.
No, but you
life is like a box of chocolates.
No, you are, because
you never know what you're going to get. Sometimes a radio show. You better finish your comment.
So look, this is the next thing that the left is going to do.
What? What are they going to do?
They're going to
ban short skaters at the Olympics.
The short program.
Ban the short program. That's true.
Days.
Go ahead. I don't want to interrupt you again. Go ahead. Got a minute and a half here. I'm going to give it all to you. Brother.
No, I don't need all that.
Take it.
You don't want me to
take it. Go.
This is what the left is going to do in these cities now. They're going to start funding this because they know that eventually the federal government funding is going to slow down. So they're going to start funding them. Local cities are now going to start funding Planned Parenthood and start funding these abortion services. And then that's what I think the city of Fresno is doing. And that's what I think you're going to see tons of other California cities. So this isn't just a resolution as I thought it was. It's a grand plan on how they're going to keep abortions going, even irrespective of what SCOTUS does.
Well, you talk about conspiracy theory here, conspiracy theory there. You conspiracy theorists as if it's some pejorative. An old saying that I always go back to, a buddy of mine told me as he was chewing tobacco in Macon, Georgia. He said, call me Bubba. He spit tobacco. Bubba, I'll tell you something. It ain't paranoia if they're really after you. He spit that tobacco. And I like that with a conspiracy theory. There are conspiracies out there.
Oh, yeah.
And they're not too nice. Some of them can be, you ready for this word? Nefarious.
Mm-hmm.
They can be very ill-intended and very dangerous, and by golly, that's our job on this show, is to address those conspiracies, like keeping skaters over 6'2" out of the Olympics. That is absolutely a conspiracy. Guillermo
The
Moreno.
Hunger Games.
You can watch. Are you going to be going live today?
No.
Okay, but
No.
you're on.
I'm on.
All right.
I'm
Hey,
on.
his pre-record is better than live. Hey, 5 seconds. Love you all. God bless you. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye now. Social media, I got a skedaddle here. I got a little meeting I have with the boss here. Are we still meeting?
Yeah.
All right. And love you all. God bless you. See you on Wednesday. Hope we're going to have Larry Powell. He hasn't canceled yet. And so that's always fun.